Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we're looking at the 18-inch Spider-Man figure from the original batch of movies with Tobey Maguire. This is, at least as far as I've seen, the most articulated, well-sculpted, well-made Spider-Man figure ever. The only problem is that it's 18 inches tall, so it doesn't fit in with any parts of anybody's action figure collections, except for maybe these new quarter scale figures from, I guess it's NECA who's making those. But I think this is even better than those, probably. He really is 18 inches tall, so I'm going to have a little trouble doing this review, showing you guys everything, but I'll try my darndest. Just for comparison, this is the Icons Spider-Man, which is 12 inches tall. And that's how big the big one is. He makes them look tiny. So, it's pretty good size figure. And by good size, I mean it's freaking huge. Alright, so he really is almost exactly 18 inches tall. He comes with a little bit of an accessory, which is a web shooter, which can snap onto his wrist. Problem is, it snaps onto the top of his wrist better than it does the bottom, which is where, you know, Spider-Man normally shoots the webbing out. But it does work well. It snaps in and it shoots these. You have three different ones. This one, focus on these, and this one. So you have three of those, and they shoot out of this thing. I never bought one new, so maybe it comes with two of these, one for each wrist. I don't know, and there may be more of these, I guess, but I never saw them, so that's all I can tell you. Okay, before I get into the articulation of the figure, which is going to be hard, I'll just zoom in a little bit and talk about the sculpt and the paintwork. On this guy, all of the webbing is sculpted, it's raised up, it's embossed, and it's painted. It's not the best paint job ever, but it's certainly not bad by any means. So all of the little silver webbing is on there. It looks pretty good. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it does look pretty good, and I do like it. And then the spider itself is raised up, and that's smooth, and it's obviously it's painted fairly well. The only thing I don't like is that they had to split the legs on the diaphragm joint, which isn't ideal, but it's not horrible, so I'll let that slide. The blue part does have the texturing like he did in the movie. It's everywhere, so obviously this was digitally sculpted. Focus, camera, and it's done well. It doesn't have any shading though, so that's a bit of a bummer, but as you can see, it matches the musculature, so I think that's pretty good, and it's pretty impressive. Back up to the head. The eyes, of course, are sculpted, but they're not painted that well, and I think the head is probably the worst part of this figure. It's a little, I don't know, it's not quite the right shape, and the eyes are a little bit too far apart, I think, even for the movie version of Spider-Man. They're painted like a nice pearlescent white, which I'm pretty sure is a little bit of a liberty, because I don't remember it being that way in the movie. I could be wrong, but they look good. They're just not as good as they could be, and especially once you get the head posed a little bit, it looks a little bit better, I think. So that's all fine and dandy. Sculpt is good. As you can see, the musculature, the shape of the figure is pretty good. I think his legs might be just a little bit long, but if so, it's only a little bit, and it's nothing to worry about. So he's definitely built well, and like I said, he's just loaded with articulation, so I'm going to try to keep him not too close to the camera to make it difficult to follow what I'm showing you, but he is pretty big, so we'll see. So the neck is on a ball joint. It moves around however you want to. The head is on, I think, a ball joint as well. That's what it seems like. These do tend to get loose. Mine luckily hasn't so far. We do have a little bit of the mineral leaching on the plastic or paint from this guy, but it's not a huge problem. So the head and neck have a pretty good range of motion. Really can't complain too much about that. The butterfly joint on this guy is quite effective. Let's zoom out a little bit more. Hopefully that'll help. So the butterfly joint does work pretty well. The arm goes almost all the way back and pretty far forward. I've had two of these now, and on both of them the right side is frozen, and I cannot free it up no matter what. So, I don't know, I'm not going to crack it open to try to fix it, but that's something to be aware of. But on the side that it does work, it works incredibly well. Then the shoulder is a standard ball hinge with a bicep swivel. That doesn't come like that from the factory. The scratch marks, that came like that from its previous owner. Double jointed elbow. All of the joints are ratcheted where they can be, by the way, so that's kind of good and kind of bad. If the ratchets get loose, you're screwed. If they don't, then they work really well. There's a wrist swivel here, a wrist pivot here, a thumb pivot, and then there's 1, 2 joints in either thumb. Then the fingers have 1, 2, 3 joints. And do they swivel too? I can't remember. No, they don't swivel, but they are actually articulated like a regular human finger. So that's pretty cool, and you can do some decent posing with them. As long as you're careful, it shouldn't be a problem. So that's pretty nice. He has a diaphragm joint, goes forward and back, swivels side to side. So that's good. He has a good ab crunch. Leans back, leans forward, no problems there. He has the waist swivel here. It leans also, so it's kind of like a ball peg, but it's not quite. I'm not really sure how they put that together. Haven't cracked it open, but it does lean in all different directions, so that's pretty cool. He has T-jointed hips, ball hinge hips, so decent range of motion there. Thigh swivel built in, double jointed knees, ankle pivot, really good ankle rocker, and a double toe pivot. Not sure if we needed that, but they did do it. So he's got all the articulation you could want, really good sculpt work, really good paint work, and it's just a really cool figure. The only downside is the size, and that it's a movie version instead of a comic version, but still, he's a really, really, really awesome figure, and I do recommend you track him down, because there's none like it. It's just that cool. So go get you one if you can. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.